we've tried to play the same way no matter who's in nets. Obviously, goalies have certain styles of play that you'll adjust a little bit, but not in the big picture. You're trying to play the same way. So I think it's helped our goaltenders, and whoever's come in has done a good job. So that's the positive of it. It's tough luck for the goaltenders, but Eden was one of those guys that got injured earlier. He was playing well. He's healthy again, got a chance last night. Responded well. It's not an easy situation. Obviously kept himself ready. That's a credit to him and Sean Burke for putting the work in, and team played well in front of him to give him a legitimate chance to make saves.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is this a team effort from management finding goaltenders that are capable of playing to Sean's job with them and the team in front of him?
I mean, I think the start of the year we have Robin Leonard, right? We're not sure on his surgeries. I mean, I was new to that situation, and then he has another surgery. You have LB that had a surgery, was going to come back, but not right away. We knew that. We weren't sure when. It wasn't going to be long. And then Logan finished the year. He's a good young goaltender. Was an all-star. But yeah, they identified Aiden Hill as a guy that was available at the time because of those injuries. He comes in, does a good job. Quickie at the deadline. We knew that we were up against a little bit Patera in the minors. Freddie Brathwaite's worked hard with him down in Henderson. He come up, played a couple games for us. So yeah, I credit, obviously they've identified goaltenders. They deserve credit for doing that part of the job, the personnel part, Sean coaching them individually with Freddie. And then again, us as a staff, how we play in front of them, I think has helped them as well. So there's a lot to go around, but the biggest credit goes to the individual in the net, the actual guy playing the position, right? He's the guy stopping the puck and has done a good job.
Bruce, first quick, was there an update on Brossoit? But also I wanted to ask you about Jack's full game. Braden McNabb was talking about how well he played last night, how well he's been playing at both ends. Could you just speak on him after maybe an update?
I don't have anything on LB right now. He's getting whatever their tests are. I'm sure there's an MRI involved there, et cetera. But I can't tell you much other than we have an optional practice and he won't be on the ice today. Probably have more for you tomorrow in that regard. Jack has played well, 200-foot game, has played a good 200-foot game all year. His defensive ability is excellent. I've said that from day one. He's bought into that. How we want to play in our D zone, his ability to close quick and make good reads has led to a lot of transition opportunities for him. And then once he gets speed through the neutral zone, he's very dangerous. That part you saw last night, both in his goal and his play to Marcia. So like I said, Jack's done a real good job for us in the defensive side of things. And I think all his metrics and all those numbers back that up. Good for Jack. We need it. I think we're really fortunate to have 4 really solid defensive center icemen. I think that's what makes us a good hockey club in terms of the 200-foot game. And he's certainly one of them.
And real quick, is Logan skating? I know we haven't asked you in a while.
I don't believe Logan's on the ice. He wasn't when we left, and we have the extra guys from Henderson. So whether he went on yesterday or today, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Are you bringing up a third goalie? Like, is there somebody on the way?
If necessary, we'll look to Yuri Patera, who's the healthiest of our guys. If need be, Krim will handle that part in his discussions with our medical staff on LB. But Logan, it won't be Logan. He just hasn't participated enough.
Bruce, you've compared these series to a chess match. How do you now prepare yourself and your team for the next move that might come from the other side?
Well, we're not going to change a lot of our style of play. Obviously, we're going to change what we feel we need to continue to get better. Most playoff series is pushed back for in this one particularly, but I think as you go along, we have to recognize that we still haven't played our best game yet. And that's got to be our goal every time, no matter what happened the night before. We have to continue to get better. We're playing a very good hockey team. So that's how I'm looking at it. Again, we looked at some things early on. Their rush game was very good. I think we have to be better in that area. The first 10 minutes, if they convert on some of those chances, it might have been a different hockey game. Draisaitl rings one off the post early on in a 2-on-1. Those went in Vegas. So we can't get ahead of ourselves or full of ourselves here, right? There's things we need to correct, and that's a big strength of their game, and how we defend between the blue lines. I thought there's a lot of things we did do well, and we'll keep building on that, but that was an area that I thought early on that, I think there was 2 or 3 odd man rushes that, listen, they're going to make some plays, but we need to be more accountable in how we're going to defend that and make sure we're counting sweaters in front of us because they were leaving the zone early, and we have to make sure that we're ready to check and be over those guys that do that.
Speaking of accountability, discipline's been a focus throughout the series. It was a lot better last night, but what is your message to the team when you're describing what it takes to stay disciplined in a play?
Well, the message to me is simple. It hurts to win. That's what happens. Look at Petro last night, right? He took some shots, played through it, drew some penalties. And that's a bit of hockey this time of year. He's a guy that plays a lot of minutes, so he's won a Stanley Cup. I think he knows sort of what happens. So tremendous discipline on his part last night, and a number of our guys. We tried to finish our checks hard and clean when they were there and not chase it. We checked with our feet, kept our sticks down when we were finishing checks for the most part, and that was our goal, to stay out of the box. And eventually, you'll have some calls that will happen or won't, right? We just tried to play the right way, and we ended up not being in the box. And that's a big, listen, you don't need me to tell you that. That's a big factor in this series. If we can keep it to 5-on-5, we feel we have a very good chance to win. And when we don't, we have to make sure our penalty kill's sharp, but not frequent, and we've talked about that from game one on.
You've been around a lot of playoff runs, a lot of playoff teams. What's your read on just kind of the overall feel of this team right now, the confidence, the looseness in this group?
Well, they certainly have responded well when we haven't been at our best. We saw that after Winnipeg in game one. We saw it yesterday. I think they have a quiet, I don't know if it's quiet because Marchessault's not quiet, but they have a confidence about them that I feel is good in game. They don't get rattled. Do we get away from our game at times? And yes, we tend to, and that showed during the season too. We didn't have long stretches of undisciplined play or undisciplined structure. We tend to get back to it and understand what makes us a good hockey club in the playoffs. If you end up one of those teams that gets away from it a period of times, then you're probably out, right? Because now you're relying on individuals, and it's tough to win as individuals this time of year. It's usually the best team that wins, that plays its best game, its best version of itself, and I think that's what I like about our group. We tend to recognize that and get back to it in a hurry. It's a credit to the leadership in the room too. They realize that, so that's the strength of our team for sure.
Haven't had a ton of production from your blue line yet in this series. Is that because of a different emphasis on defending right now?
I think it's the playoffs, Gary, in general. I think if you look through the league, you see Brendan Montour certainly is the exception in Florida, but I just think there's less of that. Even though you want to get up the ice and be part of the attack, I'll use Edmonton. I'm not sure. They have Bouchard with power play goals. I'm not sure if they have a 5-on-5. I mean, I'd go through the numbers, but I just think in general that's what happens. For us, we'd like a little bit more. Got a big goal from Zach the other night. But for this particular series, we got to be real careful how much we go wandering from the back end and how quick they can come back at us. So there is more of an emphasis certainly this series than maybe Winnipeg, but at the end of the day, I don't have a great answer for that. And I think the guys want to be accountable to each other and make sure you're in position defensively and not be reckless. But you still, in today's game, you still got to be on the attack and on the move. And that's what happened a couple of plays, right? Last night, our lefty went in on off-net shots and keep pucks alive and try to make a play, stuff we do all year, and all of a sudden didn't work out for us, and out they come, and it's a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 with a forward and a D back, and it almost cost us early. So I think there is a little bit of that. We're trying to be a little more mindful of when to go, and we may be erring on the conservative side because of it.
As the series went on against Winnipeg, your play seemed, as a team play, seemed to get sharper and sharper, and the first two periods of Game 5 was some of the best hockey, from my perspective, that you've played all year. Then you had a long break, and then there was a break after Game 1 of this series. Does it take a little bit for the frequency of games? Will that help your team get to that sharp point again?
Yes, I think it'd help every team. Your competitive edge is there. You're in a rhythm. Now, health sometimes is a factor in whether you want those breaks or not. I think it can come in handy, depending on your situation. But yes, I think that the rhythm of the series can get guys going. Now, that's our challenge. From Ashley's question earlier is that we have to keep building on our game and be ready for a pushback, but more about us. Like, let's keep building this thing. And We know Edmonton's going to be better. They've acknowledged that. And that has to be our expectation. But what about us? What are we going to do to keep building our game? We did a good job of that against Winnipeg. I agree with you. I thought we got better as the series went on. We had a good game 1, not so good game 2, but now that's our goal now. Game 3, 4, 5, 6, let's keep getting better. See where it leads us.